know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving it. I'm losing it, I'm moving it. The city is where I'm made, Bostonian flow, I kick it back there. Yeah, I got game, got in a fan way. We the city of the champs, every sport we play. Spit wetter than the harbor, yeah, I'm flowing like the Charles. I be speeding on this beat, call it turnpike miles. Yeah, it's Google signing on, John to the Hancock, and I'm always key, I'm ready to unlock. I be doing big things, don't even.
Welcome back, everyone, to the newest edition of Once a Week. I'm Billy J. Ludis, and today we have someone who we have not seen for quite some time on this channel. A friend of mine from back in the day on the track team who has now turned family man with his incredible wife and daughter and a son that is now on the way. But after going through his own personal battles, he has come out on top better. Finding new joys in life, but also seeing what he went through as an avenue to help more people, that being in the mental health area. And with us being here now, we want to help you navigate that area just as much. Everyone, I give you my friend, Nick King. Nick, I'm excited to have you here, man. What is going on?
Oh, not too much, man. I'm super excited to be back as well. Obviously, a good friend of mine, and it's been a hot minute since we last connected. So excited to kind of catch you up from everything that's gone on in the past couple of years and, just dive into some very important, relevant topics.
Yeah, exactly. I know you and I connected just brief call last week. Honestly, probably longer call last week because I hadn't seen you in so long. But you gave
Yeah.
me a window into what's been going on. But just in a little intro, I know that you will dive into it. There's been some mental health stuff, but you and I connected off of the joy you've been kind of showing more so on social media. And so when we
Yeah.
reconnected, that was a cornerstone of it because like, oh my goodness, now we have same hobbies, everything like this. But at the same time, personal battles. So if
Yep.
you're open to it, man, let's kind of give people a window. Like one, you got an incredible wife, you got a daughter, you got a son on the way. Life is in such a great area. But as we all know for people listening right now, sometimes you have to go through the tough time to get to the best time. So if you're open to it, man, let's dive in. Let's talk about the tough times for that matter.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I think it's probably something very similar to a lot of new dads, parents in general, where, you bring this new life into the world and, you have something that's so fragile that you want to treat it with the utmost love and care. And obviously that was, always 100% of the goal, but you also you question yourself a lot. You question whether you're doing the right thing, you're making the right choices, you have what it takes in order to cultivate a new person into this world. And so, part of what I kind of struggled with is just not really having the confidence in myself to, be a dad. And, that can kind of come from one thing or another, but, it just kind of really set an early, I don't want to say challenge for internally for me, but it presented itself in a number of different ways where it was just pretty evident to myself that there was a lot that I needed to work on myself in order to be the best version of myself for my now daughter and future son and my wife.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree with that in the sense of a new challenge. And I think parenting is, there's always that old saying, there's no book to parenting. There's not, it doesn't,
Right,
every kid's different for that matter. So no matter if your parents showed you exactly the perfect image of what they needed to be for you as a son, the whole game could be
right.
different for the daughter. The whole game could be different for the son for that matter. So to step into that world, it's natural to hit that wall of anxiety of like, okay, what's going on here? But the cool thing with you, man, is it kind of opened a whole new door to yourself where you
Mhm.
you trusted yourself enough, and we can talk about you took some actions and you sat there and you're like, all right, let's go get some help for one. But two, it opened you up to a lot more joy in life because you went down to that valley. So to kind of go through that process, what did you do when you went through this challenge? How did you reach out for help? Where was there help for that matter? How did you kind of take a step for yourself and like, hey, you know what? I kind of need to do this right now.
Yeah, so it really kind of came to a very sudden realization that I needed help back in about late August of last year, early September, where, I just found myself in a really deep, dark place where I really did not know how to get out of it. And I just tried to lean into my support systems as much as I could, including my wife is
Mhm.
first and foremost, her family, my family. And I ended up enrolling into a PHP or partially hospitalized program
Mhm.
and I was pretty apprehensive about it. And like among a lot of people that maybe deal with depression or anxiety, we never want to admit that it's as bad as it is.
Mhm.
But once I came to that realization and realized like, hey, this could be a really great opportunity for me to learn about myself and how I can become a better version of myself to those who have supported me because I owe it to them in order to make sure that I can show up and be the best version of myself for everyone that I love. And so once I was able to change my mindset and open up the possibility of utilizing this to become the catalyst to change,
Yep.
it really allowed me to, reap the benefits of learning more about myself and what, like, who I am as a person first and foremost.
Yeah.
So,
See, I think that's really cool. And that's the beauty of I think therapy, but also coaching as well, where we're all in this entire life trying to figure out who we are. And no matter what trials, tribulations we go through, it's trying to give us an internal perspective on who we are and who we're becoming to become that best version. So for you to go into this and you have that outlook now of all right, well, this can help me. How can it help me? Who do I become after this? But you mentioned something briefly in your explanation of your mindset shifted. Is there something specific they helped you with or told you or guided you through that brought you to that realization point of like, oh, I don't have to think this way anymore. Let me look at what this could do for me. Like how you over it sounds like you completely went over that hurdle in a great way for that matter.
yeah, there's this concept of you have this window of tolerance, and it's, there's the wider it is, the more prone you are to be, hyper versus hypo when it comes
Mhm.
to like your ability to handle stress. And so what I, learned through that was whatever I can do in order to make that window wider, the more I am more capable I am of being able to handle stressful situations.
Mm,
And so like, it kind of like if you're in a really hot area and the window's completely closed, you're going to fry in that room. But if you're able to open up that window and let a breeze in, you're going to be able to cool off and you're going to be able to, use that time to regather yourself and realize that like, okay, I can't necessarily control exactly what's happening right now, but what I can do is dictate in how I react to what's going on,
yep,
because that's ultimately going to be the thing that determines how this plays out. Is like I can either choose to be hyper pessimistic and
yep,
negative, like why is this happening to me? Or like, hey, this is happening to me, but how can I react in order to make this a more positive moment?
yeah,
And that like almost bridge or gap between the what's happening and my reaction is what ultimately has led me to just become like a better version of myself in order to see things clearer. Because I think when you get so emotional about really maybe negative situations, it clouds your judgment and clouds your ability to be able to react the way that you should versus the way that you want to.
mm,
And so being able to, make that gap wider or open up that window, it allowed me to just become a much more like confident version of myself, because once you like put it into practice and you see it pay off, you start to notice like this is actually a really powerful tool,
yep.
and if I continue to use it, it's only going to enhance my life. And so that was one of the biggest things that it's called, like, aside from the whole window piece, it's like
Yep.
this radical acceptance. So you're radically
Cool.
accepting that like this is what the situation is, but I have every power in my tool belt to be able to change and dictate what comes next. I can't
Yeah.
control this now, but I can control what comes next. And that brought me a lot of peace in very stressful situations.
Yeah, I like that. It's like that whole concept of control what you can control. And
Exactly.
sometimes everything external, we can't control everything external, but we can control, as you said, how you react. I always like to put it too, are you reacting or are you responding? And it sounds like,
Yes.
you're responding now to life rather than reacting to the stressors that might pop up. And when you respond, the stressors kind of fade. It's like, oh wait, I can handle this. But it's also cool too, man, because like I said in the intro, man, you and me have been friends for years now. And to look
Hmm.
back on when we became friends way back in early high school, you know, in my opinion, dude, you still are an incredible athlete for that matter. So to see you in all those stressful situations where the championship's on the line and you always excelled. And then the cool thing to why I bring it up is to point to everyone listening and viewing right now, life comes in different stages. And every stage allows you to work on yourself in a different way and you become stronger in a different way. So for you to be, in my eyes at least, and depending on how you felt back in the high school days, you had that confidence in that stage, and then life needs you to grow in a different way to be the father you need to be. Hence, what you went through now. So, dude, it's an incredible cycle, but I'm so grateful to see it in you, the other side of it. You've come out on top because of, man. It's I give you the most credit in the world, dude. It's awesome.
No, I really appreciate that. And, obviously the kind words about, what I was able to accomplish in high school. I think the biggest difference for me was that, obviously we were part of a team, we were part of a unit when we were competing in track and field. And, I could do my part by running the fastest split in the relay that I could, or running the fastest time, or throwing the shot put as far as I could. But when it came to like, I don't want to necessarily say like life or death, but like when it comes to being able to raise like another human being that's 100% responsible for you,
Mhm.
and they didn't choose to come into this world, you brought them here. And so like that weight and magnitude just gave me the ability to and the opportunity to be able to grow in a way that I probably needed for a long time, but wasn't, it didn't present itself until I had my daughter.
Yeah, for sure. And that, to that point, you chose for them to be here for that matter. I always like to challenge the other side of it too, where, as you grow, you begin to see that they did choose you, which to me says, and that's more of a spiritual plane aspect, but to me says they already knew what kind of dad you're going to be and knew you were perfect for the role. And so to take a step back and realize like, oh wow, someone already believed in me before they got here. And depending on people listening right now, if you
Yeah.
go with that spiritual perspective or not, but I think that's even more confidence in you, man, that you can do it. And that goes for any parent listening right now. Heck, I know your parents are listening right now. I know they're gonna they're gonna see that just as much. But nah, man, I think
Yeah.
it's so cool that that concept, that stage, I'm not even gonna call it a challenge anymore. That stage of your life going into parenthood as your daughter brought you and now your son brings you, man, you got all the tools you need, and they're there now. Now you're just more. I think the mental health aspect allowed you to grow your own self awareness, which allowed you to realize, and maybe you'll grow in this as time goes on with your kids. You got everything you need to make sure you are exactly who they need in their life, for that matter. It's awesome.
Yeah, and actually, it's one thing to like say you are these things, but it's another thing for you to actually embody it and
Mhm.
believe in it yourself. Because like, you could have people telling you you're a great dad, you're a great this, you're a great that, but like ultimately, unless you believe it yourself and like embody what those words, it just, you almost feel as if you're operating in this facade of like, oh, I don't deserve to be here, or I don't deserve this amazing young girl that I get the opportunity to raise now. But then like once you're able to kind of take a step back and, develop yourself and, create an identity that you know you would think that they would be proud of, it's like it you really need to be able to work on yourself before you can allow the I don't know how to say, like, you need to be, if you can't give to yourself, you can't give to others. Like if
Yeah,
your cup's completely empty, you're not going to be able to help water their garden. And
exactly.
so that's what like the biggest thing in the past year has just been really like working on finding myself again.
Yeah.
And that's been a really fun journey too. But it's definitely it became very evident that I felt like any parent, you want to give everything that you have to your family, but you can only give them as much as you have. And if you don't have anything to,
Mhm.
feel like you can lean on in moments of, hey, I need some joy right now, then you're not going to be able to deliver that joy to the people that really deserve it the most.
Yeah.
So,
Incredible point. No, incredible point, Nick. Seriously. But that's the cool thing where you have found yourself again. You're finding yourself again and everything. And for you to do that, man, you had to go back to your joys that you had. And
yeah.
time goes on, stress goes on, college, everything like that, work, the real world. It always, as you say, it takes from your cup. And so when your cup becomes empty, you're trying to pour into other things, you're just become more drained and drained. And that's where usually stress, anxiety, depression, anger, all these lower level emotions start to step in. But for you to find yourself again, that's a major point I wanted to make on this is you going back to your joys. Man, you got the Instagram account where you can share all this stuff, but you found your way into the hobby of cards. And that's taking
Yep.
the world by storm right now. So let's dive into it, man. Let's talk about the joys you found for yourself, dude, because, I'm a Pokemon, sports, the whole nine yards, but you found all the joys you wanted as a kid. And sometimes, dude, that's what you got to do. So you went back, became an incredible collector with Pokemon cards. Now they're soaring. So I hope people listening realize that because, it's an incredible investment. But let's talk about that, man, because when we talked a little bit last week, you went over how it just became such a fun hobby. It became the joy,
Yeah.
but it reconnected because there comes a time and all of us did this growing up, might have been middle school, high school for most, you hear about what you have fun doing and you had fun doing as a kid, and the societal norms as you get older starts to push it away, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe I shouldn't tell anyone I play with this anymore, I have fun with this. And Pokemon was a thing of that, Yu-Gi-Oh was a thing of that, these trading card games we grew up with, the fun we had got pushed away because it wasn't the in. But then growing up, it's like, why did I care so much? And you missed out on
Right.
that joy. Now you're finding yourself back, dude. So talk about the joy, man. Now you're traveling for that matter. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I really started taking this seriously back in like right after Christmas time. So like January of this year.
Mhm.
And I kind of just wanted to connect with something that I used to find joy in, like you had mentioned. And it was something that was pretty easily accessible despite, retail always being wiped out.
Yeah, right.
You can find Pokemon cards pretty much anywhere. You can go to your local card shop. You can go find and collect exactly what you want. And for me, Pokemon was always like it's so far from reality that it almost allows you to kind of like disconnect
It's
for a
true.
second and
Yeah.
be like, oh, this fire breathing dragon is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
And so like I just started getting back into it. I've been to at a couple of collecticons. I just got back from Atlanta,
Mhm.
and it's been a ton of fun. The hobby's in a weird place, but the nice part about it is it's exactly what you make of it. You can
Yep.
be as invested or as much as you want or as little as you want, and you can just buy and collect what you want. And it might be a little bit more challenging to do it than maybe when we were younger,
Yep.
but it's you can make it whatever you want it to be, really.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Now, I know you have it next to you, man. So for people that are watching this right now, show them what your biggest hit was and your biggest part of your collection that it pretty much completed the game for you for that matter. Show them what you got, dude.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. So just for context for people, I was looking to consolidate into like a really safe investment for not only myself, which is it's a really cool card, but I also wanted to get something that, if I were to hold on to it for 2 decades, it would appreciate really well. And, I was able to pick up a first edition Shadowless Charizard and a
Mhm.
BGS 8. I don't know if the reflection is doing it justice,
Oh,
but
you got it. Yeah.
it's just absolutely stunning card, and I am very, very thankful to be able to own something like that. And it was definitely felt like I don't want to say like you said completed the game, but
Yep.
there's nothing that I'll ever like acquire that would be comparable to that unless I got it in a higher grade.
Yeah.
At least in my eyes, from like a legacy standpoint. And
Yep.
so now I kind of like we were talking about before we hopped on, I kind of want to embark on a new challenge. Like,
Yeah.
now that I've, acquired arguably, the grail of all grails of Pokemon,
Yep.
what can I do in something else? And so, I really enjoy watching football and basketball. So
Yep.
I'm kind of excited to dive into that space, see where that takes me, and the like I kind of proved to myself the sky's the limit when it comes to these hobbies. And the nice part about it is there's no rush. Like you can build slowly, you can start as small or as big as you want, and I'm looking forward to like learning more about it.
Yeah, see, I love that. And in that, even just in your words talking about the new challenge or the new venture of it all, you get to be a kid again. And at the end
Yeah.
of the day, that's what was missed out on where all the stressors start to take over in life. And that's something I find through all ages. We always forget about that, the
Yeah.
little kid aspect, but that's, I believe, when you can go back to those hobbies or interests, for anyone listening, that to me is a way to fill your cup. So you can then
Yep.
bring that joy to other people. So for you, the second you were talking about me, you can see the light come back to you for a second, where it's like this is fun. I can be myself. I can be the kid again. But the coolest thing is now you got kids. That's just gonna unfold into that new hobby too, where they're gonna, get into sports, get into poker, get into whatever it is. But they can have fun with their
Right.
dad doing it. That's gonna add a whole new layer of joy for you, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's exciting to be able to share something. My daughter is about to turn 2 in October, and my son is going to be born in January. And,
Mhm.
obviously, I don't think that I'll let them bring that card to school with them, but we can eventually acquire some other stuff where, I hope they can experience the joy that I did. And whether that's playing the games or collecting the cards or, collecting, their favorite sports player and then seeing them play on TV. It's like a pretty cool full circle moment to
Yeah.
hopefully have someday. So,
For sure. No, I love it, man. I'm excited to see that unfold for you. With that, with you finding your joy, with you finding, the kid again, you could say, what would you say to
mhm.
someone listening right now or watching where maybe they are someone that kind of pushed that down? Maybe it's
Yeah.
like us growing up where at least the school society was like, hey, that's not cool anymore, so we kind of had to hide it, and then maybe someone never picked it up again. What would you say to allow them to kind of step back into that world for that matter?
To me, I always draw on from this saying, it's like the people who care don't matter and the people who matter don't care.
Mm,
And if you focus on just like investing your time and energy into those that support you unconditionally, like
yeah.
find those friends that like you and me, that like just well, whatever it is, just support them unconditionally with whatever they choose to invest their time and energy and excitement into. Because like really it's if it brings you joy and it's not harmful to you or those around you, then it really should not be something that you should be ashamed of. And like, I can speak from wholeheartedly when I say that like, for a long time, Pokemon was like not a mature thing and I'm in my 30s and like why are you collecting these pieces of cardboard? But then it's like because it makes me happy.
Yeah.
Like it makes me like just and it's something that I can be proud of too. Like I was able to assemble some really cool cards. And whether it's a personal accomplishment, a professional accomplishment, it should be viewed as equal. And so, regardless of what people, I also am a believer in the fact that no one above you will bark down. It's
Yeah.
always the people below you that will bark up.
Mm,
And so, it oftentimes when people, if they make fun of you or judge you, it's usually because they have insecurities about themselves that they may need to either work on or can figure out like I did.
yep.
And if you just take their words with a grain of salt, like it's really difficult at first because when someone says it to you it really clouds your judgment of like, oh, is this actually a childish thing? But then like if once you're able to get past that and do it enough, it really just opens up your world to like so much more joy that could be filling up your cup.
Yeah.
So
No, it's a incredible words, Nick. It really is. And for people listening, if you're right now, take his words to heart. If you are someone that pushed down what you always loved doing, pick it back up again. Even if that's someone dusting off the old PlayStation or something like that,
yeah,
have a moment to yourself again to have fun. And even if it's just for a moment, that one moment creates an echo. It's a ripple effect. And then you can do
yeah,
more and more. But then you realize that there are other people. And to Nick's point of no one above you is ever going to talk down to you. And so in regards to your hobby, your joy, whatever it might be. So when you surround yourself with the people that can just enjoy it with you, like as to your key quote, Nick, of what's the key one you just started with of the people that
the
matter?
people who
Yeah,
yeah, the people that matter won't care and the people that care don't matter.
right.
And so like especially being from Massachusetts where we're a little bit cold and more upfront when it comes to it, it's like I always took that to heart. And it was one thing to say it, but it took me a long time to actually believe it.
Mm,
And because I think there are points in our lives where maybe we feel a little bit lower and we're so like um almost, I don't want to say desperate, but like much more open to like maybe forming relationships with people that don't necessarily serve a good
mm,
role in our lives.
true.
Um, it, and so like you kind of just get to the point where like, you know what? This makes me happy. And if
Yeah,
you're judging me for something that makes me happy, then why are you doing that?
yeah,
And that's what I try to um, embody, especially, raising, young children. It's like there are going to be kids that make fun of you at the playground for no reason at all. But, if you just are confident in yourself and are confident in, hey, I'm just being me,
yeah.
and that's okay. And the people that are supposed to be in your life will love you for that.
Yep.
And that's what I try to double down in.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's the 100% the truth. And it's funny. I did a message on here a couple weeks back called "Stop Sacrificing Yourself to Fit In." Essentially, was the
Yeah.
embodied message of it. And because to your point right there, yes, up here in Massachusetts, we definitely do that where we try to fit into a certain group or whatever. So we sacrifice who we are, we hide who we are, we put it in the closet, whatever it is, and we sit there and we just want to fit in with the cool kids or whatever the vibe is. But that in itself, to me, Nick, connects so much to all of the areas you've improved, where you went to go get support to find essentially yourself, to find that
Yeah.
higher version of yourself, that confident version of yourself, who you truly are, and it opened the door to, wait, who was I? Oh, I used to love this. And then now all
Yeah.
the dots start to connect together where the younger version of Nick is now with the present version of Nick, creating the great version, the future version. And it's like, oh wow, I had to take time for myself to figure out who I really am. Not to say that you made sacrifices throughout your life to try and fit in. I don't To me, you were never one of those people. But at the same time, we just naturally do it in society to fit in with our
Hmm.
job, to fit in with the community, whatever it is. We got to have time for ourselves. And that's where the hobby comes in. That's where the joy comes in. But one other piece, Nick, I want to touch on before we close everything out here. When we talked last week, you mentioned to me something very cool of when you were at the support, the facility that you checked yourself into and everything like that. You mentioned briefly last week. I don't even know if you realize you said it, but you became a support for people there because you began to
Hmm.
grasp it all. And then so that you became a light to the others there trying to navigate it just as much. I want to, kind of expand on that because it shows we're all struggling. And, we kind of touched on points of that already, but we're all struggling. But once you grasp it, you can lend a hand to the next person. And that's exactly what you've done. And not to say that you're going to do that if your kids ever struggle or anything like that, or your wife, your family, but anyone. And you even brought up examples last week where people realize, with the hobbies, you got into it like, oh, wait a second. And then they started bringing you, I forgot I had this. I forgot I had this. But with you and the mental health aspect being able to become someone that became a light for those that needed it, what's your take on that, man? Because it shows incredible growth in yourself.
Yeah. It was definitely a challenging mountain to climb because for a very long time, and I still have spurts of it where I'm just like almost embarrassed to feel like maybe negative about a certain subject.
Mhm.
And then, when I got into that program, I once I was able to realize that like everyone around me is trying to accomplish the same thing, and
Yeah.
that's to get better.
Right.
And a lot of people had, maybe a harder time than me opening up about like how they're feeling and like maybe believing in everything that we were doing in that program in order to try to get better. And so if I thought to myself, well, if I can be the first person to show belief in it and show like that this works, or maybe like I can be the first person to open up about my struggles. And if
Yeah.
I open up about my struggles, then maybe it'll be a little bit easier for the next person.
Yep.
And so for me, it was, I kind of just had to get a gut check for myself. Like, Nick, you're no different than anyone else that's here. You're no bigger or more important than anyone else that's here.
Mm.
But you can have a pivotal role in how they experience this
Yep.
based on how much you lean into it. And not to say that like I'm this, spiritual philosopher that opened up this new, idea of therapy, but like I
Mhm.
feel like by me opening up and by me being incredibly vulnerable
Yep.
around people that I don't know at all, it allowed me to just show that like hey, this can work if you choose to believe in it.
Yep.
And I hope that that was able to help people.
Yeah. So that right there is the exact Nick King that I remember growing up with, the leader. because that's exactly to me, man, who you've always embodied. The leadership factor in you was always there, but you were always a leader back in the day, not just on the track and field aspect or sports, but it's just to me the energy you've always walked in. So for you to kind of go into a valley moment, you could say, and then pull other people out of it because you grew out of it too. Man, that's what you've always been in my eyes, man, the leader. And then now you get to lead the family. You get to lead in whatever way possible, but now you're more of a confident leader because you stepped into it. You know, I think it's awesome, man. So I appreciate you saying that because it's 100% you. So I give you the most credit, man, for not just going through it, dude, but winning through it. You know,
Yeah.
you helped other people through it just as much, but you came out so much better. You came and life has a different joy to it. That's the whole point of this entire message today. But it's awesome, man. So I appreciate you opening up for all of us here and now and just kind of showing that, you know, in essence, dude, the true you. Because rather than putting a mask on that all of us tend to do, you take it off. It's like, wait a second, life is so much better without this. This is me. The whole point, man. Right? Exactly. Yeah. So,
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that because like I was having a discussion with some family members a few weeks ago, and we were kind of talking about like guilty pleasures and like
mhm,
this whole idea of like, something that brings you joy, but you feel like you have to hide it.
yeah.
And like I can honestly say like my first gut reaction to when someone asked me that was like, I don't have any. Like I'm not ashamed of like anything that I do anymore. I gave up drinking improved it to improve my mental health. I'm taking all of the corrective actions that I need, and I'm just doubling down on the things that bring me joy. And the things that bring me joy in my mind, even if it's a trashy TV or whatever, your kind of guilty pleasure is, it's like, no, that's just what I do. And if you decide to judge it, that's up to you, but I can't really help the way that you react to how I condone my life. And
Yep.
it was like a really cool feeling that like not only did I like think it, but I also believed it.
Yeah.
And that to me was a huge personal growth of mine,
Mm.
because I was able to, I can go around and just be like, yeah, I collect Pokemon cards. Yeah,
Yeah.
I lift and be proud of it. And
Yeah.
that's, obviously first and foremost, being a dad and a husband are the two biggest, points of pride in my life. But then like on a more personal individual level, I have so much more that I can bring to the table and be proud of. And I think that that's what I was really able to wipe the lens of and like actually see it for the first time coming out of that program this
Mm.
past year, was like who I am and like what I actually bring to the table as a person.
Yeah.
And that allowed me to embody a much more confident version of myself.
For sure.
So
I love that whole concept of it because, you know, we touched briefly on it earlier, but your awareness of yourself grows. And right there, you had one moment when they asked you about guilty pleasures and you had like you recollected for a second, like, wait a second, I don't have one. I'm completely confident in all my decisions. You are so aware of who you are now, which is a struggle for so many people in the world. But when you become aware, like, all right, this is me, yeah, I don't feel guilty about anything that I do. Which in a positive way, it's not like you're doing anything negative in the world, or you're not hurting anyone. You're doing stuff that makes your soul happy. So
right,
when you do that, it's like, wait a second, let's just have fun. Let's just enjoy what today brings. It allows you to be in
right,
the present moment. There's no longer anxiety trying to pull you out. There's no longer depression trying to pull you back. It's wait, I get to be here. Let's go open a couple packs. Let's go
right,
see what your daughter's doing. Let's go, let's go to work today, whatever it is. But that allows you to fully embody who you are. In my eyes, the leader aspect, and then other factors of that. And so, people listening right now, it takes incredible strength, as Nick's story shows us, to take a step back. Whether you go for support, maybe you grab a piece of paper and you do it yourself, but you take a step back and actually ask the deep questions, the hard questions. Not just about what's going on in your life, but who you are in your life and if it connects to your goals, if it connects to who you truly believe you are. And when you can
yeah.
unravel that, you get to such a truth and then you can embody it. And to me, Nick, that's been your story. You've embodied who you truly are. And man, that's just going to make such a freaking phenomenal dad for your kids, dude. It's so awesome, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the journey with number two, and obviously having a boy and having a girl already is going to be quite the handful. But
Uh,
I think everything that I've done in the past year has set me up for the best possible outcome,
yeah.
of being the best dad that I can be.
For
So,
sure. Oh, it shows, man. 100% shows. But, I thank you so much for the time, man. I know you opened up to us. You showed us a little bit more about yourself, and I think people need that now more than ever is seeing the true, real people. So I thank you for that, dude. But let's ask one more question. Is there a lasting message you want to leave with anyone before we close this out? Because you showed us so much of a window into your own life and the growth you've been through, the hobby aspect. But is there anything on your heart right now that you think people need that you want to say?
oh man. Um, it's hard to kind of summarize everything that we've just been through in the past 40 minutes into maybe one lasting message, but I
Hmm.
would say that wherever you are in your life, like try to take advantage of what's being presented to you. Like for me, I have an amazing support system with my wife and my family. And like even in my darkest moments, I took advantage of their suggestions of me seeking like more help than what I probably thought I needed at the time.
Hmm.
And as taking advantage of that. And then once I got into the program, taking advantage of all the great support that I was having with all the different therapists that I was meeting. And, once I graduated from that and I got back into the real world, take advantage of all the lessons that I, learned in that program and apply them to my real life.
Right.
And then taking advantage of that continued success and just finally believing in yourself
Hmm.
is trying to, bring everything all together in, regardless of whether you are in a positive situation or maybe the way that you perceive it as a negative situation, there's always messages that you can take from wherever stage you are in your life and apply them to becoming a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
Even if it's just I am a big advocate in the fact that there's no such thing as a mistake. There's just learning opportunities. And
Mhm.
so regardless of whether you messed up or you think you messed up or you're in a negative situation, take that and make it into a positive. And I promise you, regardless of how difficult it is, you're going to be so thankful that you did.
Yeah. Mm. Incredible period to end everything on, Nick. And I love that concept. But I always say to people of everything's a lesson. Mistake, love, joy, pain, whatever it is, everything's a lesson. You learn the lesson, you pass the test, you level up. Sometimes those lessons take you into mistakes, take you into tough areas. But if you learn the lesson, you navigate your way out. You become better,
Yep.
you become stronger. And that to me, man, like I said it earlier, you became better, you became stronger through all of these trials, tribulations, whatever term people want to put on it. But if you came out better, it was all worth it, man. And that's the key
100%.
thing. Yep, right. I love it. But I appreciate the time, Nick. People can follow you and the car journey you got going right now on Instagram. I'm gonna put it in the credits if you want me to, but do you want to tell
Yeah,
them where they can
sure.
find you?
Yeah, Instagram, I'm King Collectibles 7. And I'll occasionally post Pokemon content there. And as I transition into maybe other cards or TCGs or whatever, I'm kind of just following whatever I think is cool and just doubling down in that joy that it brings me. So regardless if it's a $1 card or a first edition Charizard,
Mhm.
they bring me just as much joy, and it's all about the journey that it brings me. So
I love it. I love it. Guys, you can go follow Nick. You'll see his link in the description, his Instagram in the description of the video. You'll see it rolling the credits right now. And if you're unaware of the first edition Charizard that he showed us, go do a Google search and see how incredible that card actually is. That's awesome. But Nick, I thank you for the time, man. It's been an absolute blast. Everyone watching, please like this message on YouTube and hit that thumbs up on below. If at any moment someone popped your mind because of something we said, to me, that's a clear-cut sign that they might need a topic we discuss, maybe in the mental health area, maybe in the hobby area. Maybe it's someone that they can confide in, Nick or myself. Guys, share it to them. Lend a hand and help them out. And please subscribe to Once a Week if you've not already, guys. That number's going up every single week. All we want to do is help everyone we can. Lend a hand, share the channel, subscribe if you have not. I thank you for it. And if you're in need of a coach to help in any areas discussed today, head to BillyJLifeCoaching.com. You set up a call with me, and I'm sure he'd be fine with it. But if you have questions on it, reach out to Nick. He'll be right there for you. I know it.
absolutely, more than happy to.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Nick, it's always a blast, man. Thank you for being here.
Likewise.
You know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving it. I'm losing it, I'm moving it. The city is where I'm made. Bostonian flow, I kick it back there. Yeah, I got game, got in a fan way. We the city of the champs, every sport we play. Spit wetter than the harbor, yeah, I'm flowing like the Charles. I be speeding on this beat, call it turnpike miles. Yeah, it's Bugle signing on, John to the Hancock, and I'm always key, I'm ready to unlock. I be doing big things, don't even have a deal. Yeah, I battle through these bars, yeah, I always bunker hill. I know that any city I go in, that I be flyer than Logan, and I be flying high. I want this shit up in here, all the way to Shanghai. And my name's not Joe, but I'm not your average guy. I be killing it, east side rapping, cause I'm writing where I'm from. And I know for hella sure that I'm right with what I done. In a minute I'ma win it, chillin' with all these women. It's a dream I've been chasing and I'm never gonna pace it. This is something really got lost in. Everybody said no and now they all want it.